Live from KSAT 12. The 6 o'clock news starts right now.
As the family of Damian Daniels awaits answers about his shooting death, tonight a candlelight vigil is planned to remember him. At 7:30 this evening, it will be held at the house where Bexar County deputies arrived just over a week ago to do a mental health check on the Afghanistan war veteran.
His family is calling for changes in policy and for Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar to resign. Jesse DeGriato tells us Damian's brother believes mental health professionals, not deputies with guns, should have responded that day.
Standing alongside the family's civil rights attorney in front of his late brother's first home, Brendan Daniels talked about this image released from a Bexar County deputy's body cam. It shows the gun later found under Damian Daniels' shirt.
We shouldn't focus on the firearm. Why didn't you guys circle his face? In the picture, my brother's face is distorted. My brother seems out of it. He seems defeated. And my brother's never lost a battle. Until now.
The day the combat veteran with known mental health issues was shot and killed after Bexar County deputies say he struggled with them.
The last thing you want to do is make that paranoia or that vivid imagination come true.
It's why his older brother says it ended the way it did.
In this case, we're just asking the sheriff to be frank with us, to own up to your mistake.
Yet Sheriff Javier Salazar has said he's confident his deputies, quote, did everything in their power to avoid using deadly force. He says the body cam footage will show Daniels at one point reached for his gun during the 2-minute struggle, footage his family demands to see.
We want to see from beginning to end what happened so that we can make that determination of where did this go wrong.
Jesse Degollado, KSAT 12 News.
An African-American jogger whose arrest by San Antonio police sparked conversations nationwide about a person's rights while detained says he did not assault any police officers. Matthias Ametu speaking with the media for the first time this morning, less than a day after prosecutors rejected 2 felony charges against him. Ametu, who has no criminal record, was detained, then arrested after police stopped him on the Northwest Side and wanted to question him in connection to a nearby family violence case. Officers said Ametu matched the description of the suspect they were looking for, but he repeatedly refused requests to identify himself. Ametu said he has no regrets about asserting his legal rights.
Right now, I'm just so glad to be free. They try to take that away from me with some, I feel like, bogus charges. I felt like I was being punished because I wasn't giving them what they want.
Ametu's attorney said everything is still on the table, including possibly filing a civil rights lawsuit against the police department and the officers involved in her client's arrest.
Reassurance for some renters as the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention orders a halt to many residential evictions. The agency's order should be effective on Friday. But as Garrett Berger tells us, it doesn't mean everyone is safe from being evicted.
The new protections may have been announced, but they're not in place yet. And eviction hearings were still going on here in Precinct 2 today.
The Honorable Judge Roberto Vasquez is now presiding.
Meaning that some people still found themselves evicted.
Court will allow the plaintiff to have restitution of the premises.
I mean, it's rough, but I can't really do anything about it.
But in a few days, some renters will have something they can do. The new CDC directive protects through the end of the year what it calls any covered person from eviction over non-payment of rent. But to be covered, renters have to submit a signed declaration to their landlord with several statements, including that they've done their best to get government help to pay their rent, that they've had a substantial loss of income or extraordinary out-of-pocket medical expenses, and that they're paying what they can.
And you can get a judgment in your favor.
The Justice of the Peace in Precinct 2 says he's waiting for guidance on how this will work administratively and logistically.
It's my opinion that we're going to have to give tenants some type of a reasonable time in order to comply.
What I do know is that
District 1 Councilman Roberto Trevino, who's repeatedly raised concerns about affordable housing, supports the new protections.
This really came as a welcome surprise. to many of us.
But he still thinks the city needs to put more towards emergency housing and bill assistance. The city's expected to finish off the last of the more than $50 million it's set aside for that purpose later this month. While the proposed budget for next fiscal year, which begins October 1st, only has $5.25 million at the moment.
Just because this is in place, it does not mean that there is not going to be a need for an emergency housing assistance.
Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
The Bexar County Medical Examiner identifying the man killed in a rollover crash earlier this week. The Bexar County Medical Examiner's office says 40-year-old Samuel Valdez was driving eastbound on Loop 410 near Nacogdoches Road Monday morning. Police say he was speeding when he lost control of his car, crashed into the center divider of the highway. The car rolled over several times. Police say Valdez was thrown from the vehicle. He was taken to the hospital where he later died. A couple of people with some explaining to do after Castle Hills police say shots were fired from the truck they were riding in this morning. That truck was right in front of a police officer's cruiser. We're told it happened near West Avenue and Adobe Drive a little after 2. Castle Hills police say the officer was driving behind that truck when he saw the passenger shooting out of the window. A traffic stop was made. Both the driver and the passengers questioned. Police say both passengers were drunk. One of them detained. No one was hurt. Charges are pending.
New at 6, the COVID-19 positivity rate in San Antonio is slowly trending downward. If that improvement continues, it will affect a lot of things, including courts. Could that mean that jury trials will resume soon? They've been on hold since March. Here's Paul Venema.
Fearing the spread of the coronavirus, jury trials like this were halted this spring. In a September set of guidelines, the State Office of Court Administration has recommended resuming in-person trials on October 1st. But the final decision is up to the local administrative judge.
I am looking at the beginning of the year, unless factors change. We got to always keep an open mind.
Runhell said his decision will be based on the numbers.
The positivity rate in Bexar County is 7.8%. The standard that I believe we should set is less than 5% positivity rate.
He said his primary concern, as it's been from day one, is public safety. And he worries that resuming trials too soon could have a negative effect on efficiency.
We want to make sure that when folks come in, that they know that they're coming in for good.
Runhell said his final startup decision will be based on input from all district and county court judges. Their opinions, he said, are across the board.
There are some judges that are itching to start a jury trial, and I don't blame them. I would love to start a jury trial myself.
Bottom line, for now, the date for resuming in-person jury trials in Bexar County remains a moving target. Paul Venema, KSAT 12 News.
First responders and cleanup crews with an early wake-up call to the downtown area after a big rig rollover along I-35 this morning. This happened near Laredo Street around 4:30. According to police, the big rig was carrying several tons of ceramic tile, which spilled across all 4 northbound lanes, backing up traffic all the way to South Cross. No word on whether anyone was badly hurt in this accident. What caused it is still under investigation.
Speaking of accidents, let's go to TransGuide right now. Time saver traffic. This is at I-10 and the eastbound ramp to 410, where you can see it looks like at least one car involved in an accident there. Not the best timing, but you can see it's right where the fork takes place between eastbound and westbound 410. Again, it is the eastbound ramp to 410, I believe, where this accident is taking place, or right at the fork between the east and the west.
Look outside with live cam, 87 degrees out there. It's nice to see some 80s, Adam.
Yeah, the cloud cover helped us out again today. We only made it to 95 for the high, which is pretty close to the average for the day. The average high temperature 94, the record 104 that was set back in the year 2000. Taking a look at the radar right now, we have a few hit or miss little isolated showers out there to speak of right now, especially as you get into Kendall County, right along I-10 between Bernie and Comfort. That's where we have just one little shower that's crossing over I-10, moving to the northeast. And we've had a few little ones pop up in and around Bexar County, but they have since come to an end. And unfortunately, there's just too much of a cap in the atmosphere right now to really help kickstart and get those showers really going. The aquifer is actually up a little bit today, up 0.3 of a foot. And right now the 10-day average is 655.7, so we're still within the stage 1 watering restrictions. As for the pollen count, just mold, it's low with a count of 210. Temperature-wise, clouds helping us out, at least locally. 85 Stinson, 82 Bernie, 86 in Bulverde. So often over the past several weeks, we've been at or above 100 at this hour. That's not the case today. Clouds helping us out. Del Rio at 99, but that's really the hot spot. Otherwise, 80s to near 90 degrees. And we'll have a few isolated showers this evening and tonight. Temperatures making their way through the 80s. I think we'll start the day tomorrow at 78. We have more rain chances to talk about. I'll get to that along with the rumors of a cold front for next week. I'll have the very latest coming right up.
The pandemic leading to a change in the curriculum for some students at UTSA. Tonight on the Night Beat, the newly formed class on contact tracing and the students and staff that are helping in the COVID-19 response. Plus,
we as students, we see our teachers being punished like this.
San Antonio students rallying behind a teacher who was placed on administrative leave. The concerns that Burbank High School teacher shared before officials took action. And what does the San Antonio Independent School District have to say tonight? And the defenders revisiting a case involving a deadly and fiery plane crash in late July. Could it have been prevented? What we're learning about the pilot who was killed after crashing near Stinson Airport. It's tonight on the Night Beat.
The numbers continue to fluctuate here in Bexar County when it comes to COVID-19, but certainly those signs of improvement are continuing as well. But the focus remains on going back to school for in-person learning. Let's listen in to today's daily briefing.
Bringing our total to 46,913 since the pandemic began. The last 2 days have shown some slightly increased numbers, pushing our 7-day moving average to 184. So again, this shows that the virus is still in our community. We still need to work to contain it. We also have a number of new deaths to report tonight, 7 new deaths, and including an additional 6 that are as a result of Metro Health reviewing death certificates provided by the state and confirming that those deaths were in fact COVID-19 related. So that brings our total since this began to 835. Some of these deaths, again, those referring to the death certificates from the state, occurred between July 14th and August 30th and now have been verified. And as always, please keep those families and those affected in your prayers. These are loved ones and neighbors and colleagues and friends that we've lost. Tonight, there are 356 COVID patients in the hospital. That's down 10 from yesterday. There's also a slight decrease in new admissions to the hospital for COVID-19. We're down to 29 overnight, as well as 164 patients in the ICU and 93 on ventilators. In terms of hospital capacity, we have 66% of ventilators available and 14% of staffed hospital beds available in our system. Let me turn it over to Judge Wolf.
Yeah, thank you. The only concern out of the hospital thing was more people in ICU, which means that they're getting pretty sick if they put in ICU. But overall, you know, we're continuing to see a step in the right direction. When we show that we have 250 more COVID cases, that's within a 14-day span. So some of them could go back as far as 2 weeks. So things continue to look good that way. And again, it's whether we keep up with what we're doing, from the mask to social distances to surface, and now issues that we have with air circulation within buildings and things we can do to make sure our air circulation is better. As you know, the Center for Disease Control put out on moratoriums, and we're trying to work our way through that right now. They wouldn't start to September the 4th, and they would go through December the 31st. But our justices of peace now are waiting from information from the Texas Supreme Court, who stopped us from doing evictions. We had issued emergency orders to stop them. Both the mayor and I did. Then the Supreme Court said we couldn't go any further. Then this comes out, so we're trying to make sure that we handle that right. Now you need to remember, you may stop the eviction, but you're still going to owe the rent, and at some point in time, you'd have to pay that. But I know the city and the county both are offering, if it's COVID related, some grants to people that may be stuck not being able to pay their rent. And so with respect to the county, if you can call 210-940-1180, we'll be glad to try to jump on it and try to help you with the rent.
Thank you, Judge. And we know many folks have been affected by COVID-19 in terms of their employment. I want to let you know that the Workforce Recovery and Resiliency Program that's part of our COVID-19 Recovery and Resiliency Plan is now accepting enrollments, and you can find out more information about that at 210-224-4357. That's 210-224-4357. Again,
the mayor and county judge there talking about the resources still available for people who have been hard hit by this pandemic. We heard the judge there talk about the moratorium on evictions we reported on earlier coming down from the CDC. They're going to see how exactly that will play out here locally. As for the numbers today, 250 new cases reported over the last 24 hours. That is an increase from yesterday and the day before when we only saw 40 cases reported. So certainly things are improving overall, but you really heard notes of caution from both the city and county leaders today saying that we cannot let up.
Right. And they're obviously concerned about the Labor Day weekend, which is just ahead of us, and some of the other things. And again, 13 new deaths today, bringing the total to 835 total deaths. Some of those confirmed from earlier, confirmed and investigated as being COVID-19 related. All right, let's switch gears now and talk about the weather and the fact some people got some rain today, Adam.
Yeah, a few folks did. Not a whole lot of coverage out there. The clouds, they helped keep us cooler with a high of 95, but they also limited our warming, which then also limited the erosion of the cap in the atmosphere. So the showers had a hard time really flaring up and getting going. Let's take a look at the radar right now. A few hit or miss little isolated showers. Especially earlier today, we had some good rainfall in Karnes County, Gonzales and DeWitt counties, a little bit western Maverick County. Right now, it's just very isolated activity. The northwestern corner of Edwards County and between Comfort and Bernie along I-10, you see that dissipating thunderstorm that flared up near Bandera and then now is basically raining itself out. So a few little spotty showers in Kendall County. Locally, we had a few isolated showers over the past couple of hours, but they didn't last very long and they didn't dump a whole lot of rain. Not much in terms of accumulations with them. Along the Kendall County and Comal County line earlier today, we had 0.15 of an inch measured in a rain gauge there. As for the next couple of days, we'll continue to see these hit or miss showers and thunderstorms developing really any time of day and popping up just about anywhere across South Texas. So we'll give it that 30 to 40% chance. So scattered activity periodically, those hit or miss showers coming and going, developing every so often. Mostly cloudy right now, 87 degrees, dew point of 72, so it feels like we're at 93. The relative humidity is at 61%, but it's muggy outside because of that dew point that's above 70. So we're feeling that humidity in the air. The thick humidity is still in place. Temperatures right now are really all over the place. 80 in Fredericksburg, but nearly 100 in Del Rio. It's the difference of cloud cover and sunshine. A lot of sunshine in Valverde County, so right near the century mark right now. Meanwhile, the clouds have really held tight throughout a good portion of the hill country. Kerrville at 82 right now. 78 tomorrow morning, 94 by the afternoon. A few spotty showers, hit or miss again the next couple of days. And there is the potential of a cold front hitting next Tuesday night, Wednesday. But right now, we're actually losing confidence in that scenario playing out. So we'll just keep you updated and let you know the latest as it comes in.
Some nice rain chances there. Thanks, Adam.
You know, sometimes it's about the one that got away. For Greg Popovich, it's about the Boban that got away.
Yeah, 7'4" Boban Marjanovic. It's been 6-7 seasons now since he's played with the Spurs, but everywhere he goes, fans love him, his teammates love him. Well, Pop recently said that he really had a hard time letting Boban go. Plus, in the NFL, Dak Prescott is impressed with a couple of wide receivers outside of the team's top three coming up. During his one and only season with the Spurs back in 2015-16, center Boban Marjanovic quickly turned into a fan favorite and then he was gone. He left for the Pistons because the Spurs couldn't match their offer of 3 years, $21 million. He made $1.2 million with the Spurs. He's played for the Clippers, Sixers, and now the Mavericks. Spurs head coach Greg Popovich told The Athletic he didn't want Boban to leave. Quote, the offer he was getting was something that we couldn't match, and I would have felt forever guilty if I would have convinced him to stay and give up all that money. In the end, I just had to say, no, you're gonna go, you're gonna go. You have a family, and you have to do it, and he begrudgingly went. Pop added, I felt like an idiot when we didn't re-sign him after his rookie season, end quote. When it comes to wide receivers, Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott has plenty to choose from. His top 3 this season figure to be Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and rookie CeeDee Lamb. The other wideouts could get lost in the shuffle, but 2 guys in particular are doing all they can to make an impact in Frisco, Cedric Wilson and Noah Brown. Dak is impressed with both guys.
Their playmaking ability, the ball's in the air. Both of those guys feel like it's their ball. Those are 2 guys that you can almost throw 50-50 balls to, and they're going to come down with it more times than not. Very smart. Don't make many mistakes, if any at all. And I mean, I think you've seen over the last couple of days in scrimmages, both of them have caught touchdowns and made big plays for this offense. So they're just going out there and doing exactly what they're asking, letting their game speak for themselves.
Dallas made some moves today as they work toward the 53-man roster, cutting players including wideout Devin Smith, quarterback Clayton Thorson, and offensive lineman Adam Redmond. Houston Texans receiver Randall Cobb played for a Super Bowl winning quarterback in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. Cobb joined the Packers this season after they won it all. So he was asked today, does he think it changes how the guys view a QB after they win the Lombardi Trophy?
I think the consensus is, how does that person come to work every day? How does he get better? What kind of teammate he is? What kind of leader he is? And those are the things I think that guys respect more. Just because you win a Super Bowl, like, obviously that's an amazing achievement, but it's how do you come back from that? How do you continue to work and push forward and continue to get better and push yourself and push your teammates to be the best they can be? I got to see that in Green Bay. And, you know, we're chasing that here. I think that we have the pieces. It's now going out on the field and putting it all together.
Houston making roster moves as well. Defensive tackle Albert Huggins, linebacker Darren Bates, and quarterback Alex McGuff were all waived. Cornerstone Christian's Lucas Coley was honored as Week 1 Built Ford Tough Texas High School Football Player of the Week for private schools. The Arkansas commit piled up 348 yards of total offense, passed for 1 touchdown, and ran for 2 more in a 24-20 win against state-ranked Corpus Christi Cal Allen. Coley passed for 147 yards, rushed for 201 against the Wildcats, who started the season number 4 in Class 4A. Congratulations to Lucas and the Warriors.
Yeah, well deserved.
Absolutely. And he said he wouldn't have been named that if it wasn't for his offensive line.
All right.
Yep.
Smart man.
Yep. Praise to the big guys.
Smart guy. Smart guy.
We'll be right back. More than 184,000 Americans have died from COVID-19, and that death toll continues to rise. But as ABC's Rita Roy reports, some researchers are recommending steroid therapy to help the most critically ill COVID patients.
Scientists say a new use for old therapy could be life-saving for some battling the coronavirus. The World Health Organization now recommending corticosteroids for patients with severe COVID-19 illness. Meantime, with Labor Day celebrations right around the corner, the nation's top infectious disease expert has a reminder for Americans.
Remember, following the 4th of July, following Memorial Day, when people understandably get out and congregate, we've had surges. The one thing you don't want is to play whack-a-mole as you go into the fall, where you've got everything down and then one comes up.
In Palm Beach County, Florida, over the holiday weekend, people will be able to go to public beaches where officials say CDC social distancing guidelines will be in place.
I think being outside is great. It's the large indoor gatherings where you have 30 people inside your home. Those are the things that are going to really set off big outbreaks.
New cases and deaths are decreasing this week compared to last in many parts of the country, according to an internal FEMA memo obtained by ABC News. But some states in the Midwest are battling a surge. In Ohio, 1,400 new cases Tuesday, the largest single-day jump since July.
We want our kids in school, which we do. We want our school playing athletics, which we do. Then the way to do that is for us to slow this spread down.
In Volusia County, Florida, an anonymous teacher posted this picture of a packed hallway during the first day of school on Monday, the union calling it a shocking and disappointing image.
Congregating in a large group, some with masks on, some with masks off, but absolutely no social distancing taking place.
In a statement, school officials said, quote, "We believe this picture is a snapshot of a gathering that lasted just a few minutes." Saying it will help stop the spread of the coronavirus, the CDC has announced it will temporarily ban residential evictions starting Friday due to widespread job loss in the pandemic. Rena Roy, ABC News, San Francisco.
News around Texas, the United States Army launching a new investigation into some of the decisions made by the leadership at Fort Hood following the disappearance and death of Vanessa Guillen. The 20-year-old specialist's remains were found in June, months after she disappeared. The main suspect in Guillen's disappearance, another Fort Hood soldier, reportedly killed himself when he was confronted by investigators. Back in July, Fort Hood officials say they have been 23 deaths there this year alone. That includes 7 off-duty accidents, 7 suicides, 4 homicides. For now, a top general overseeing operations at the Texas Post will stay there, then move to a new role.
The Department of Public Safety bumping up the reward this month for information that leads to the arrest of one of the state's most wanted sex offender fugitives. $4,000 now being offered for information on the whereabouts of 34-year-old Marco Antonio Toscano. He's wanted for failure to register as a sex offender and parole violation. Back in 2006, Toscano was convicted of indecency with a child in Tom Green County, that's the San Angelo area. He also has ties to El Paso and to Southern California. Toscano has been on the run for 2 years now. Anyone who can help put an end to that is asked to call 1-800-252-TIPS.
All right, I had a friend of mine say, can you give me like the top secret forecast that Adam Caskey gives special people?
Right.
I said he gives it to people that 5, 6, and 10. Just tune in.
The top secret.
He was convinced that there's like a top secret forecast you have.
Kind of a password for that forecast or something?
Exactly.
It's thermometer, everybody. Yeah. The password's always thermometer.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Kind of gives it away.
Hack right into my computer right now. It's not a problem. It's pretty easy. You know, I throw it all out there, and one thing I'm going to address here is that potential and the rumors for a cold front as we get into next week. And right now, I'll just tell you, don't get your hopes too high, because I'd give it a 40% chance, as there's been a significant divergence in computer model solutions, and even some reliable computer models are now showing a different scenario play out. We have to see how a few features come together as we get into Friday and the weekend before we can really increase odds of any cold front next week. So right now, I'm hopeful, but I really don't think it's all that likely. Okay, let's talk about rain that we have out there right now and that we've had earlier today. We had some hit or miss showers earlier, especially Karnes County, DeWitt County, and Gonzales County. Now Kendall County just has some areas of light rain. One moderate little sprinkle, or moderate shower, I should say, just south of Sisterdale. That activity is highly isolated and unfortunately not adding up to much. You get between Karnes City and Nordheim, that's where we have a little thunderstorm here that just flared up. A little bit of lightning and thunder associated with it, but it's a highly isolated heavy downpour that's associated with it. You look at the rainfall today, and there it is. Karnes County, DeWitt County, Gonzales County, and even right along the Kendall-Comal County line, we had about 1,500ths of an inch reported earlier today. The real heavy rainfall, look at that. It's off to the north of us. Temple toward Waco, off toward Tyler. Yeah, that's where they had rainfall estimates of about 5 inches in this red area. We just didn't get enough outflow boundaries moving our way last night and today to really kickstart much in terms of showers and storms. And then the cloud cover today limited our heating, and that held the cap a little too tight. So even though we had some boundaries today, they couldn't really break through that cap and generate some good showers and storms. We still have some scattered activity across the state. Upper level disturbances helping out out a little bit. That's going to linger for a few more days, so we still have these hit or miss showers in the forecast just periodically over the next several days, basically through Saturday. Here's the FutureCast, and I'm going to keep it at a wider view on purpose. I don't want people to focus on any exact location of where the computer is showing showers developing, because it's not all that reliable. The point of this is just to illustrate that the potential is there for more of these widely separated hit or miss showers and thunderstorms, but it's impossible to tell exactly where they're going to develop and when, because a lot of them are dependent on other thunderstorms that develop and the outflow boundaries that get pushed away from the neighboring thunderstorms. So it's really a wait and see, and just cross your fingers for your neighborhood. 80 degrees in Abilene and Dallas, some rain cooled air off to the north. Meanwhile, 99 in Del Rio, 87 in San Antonio, Pleasanton at 91, and Fredericksburg at 80. Cloud cover's making all the difference today in terms of temperatures. Where we've had the sun, we're in the 90s to near 100. Where the clouds have stuck around quite a bit, well, right now we're in the 80s. Even Fredericksburg at 80, but we still feel the humidity, especially between I-10 and I-37, the coastal plain there. Oh, dew points well into the 70s. And the humidity, it's going to be hanging around for quite a while here. It's not getting swept away anytime soon. Heat indices not off the charts because temperatures are mitigated a bit as a result of that cloud cover. So 78 tomorrow morning, 88 at noon, the 94 the high temperature, about a 30 to 40% chance of those showers and isolated storms. So widely separated activity, and it could really pop up at any time through the day and night. More specifically temperature wise, upper 70s for most of us, lower 70s in the hill country tomorrow morning. Then by the afternoon, look at this, not too many triple digits on the map. We think the clouds are going to help us out again tomorrow. We'll have some sunshine, but just a few extra hours of that cloud cover helps us out. So 91 Leon Springs, 95 in Elmendorf, Lavernia 94 for the high, and Timberwood Park a little closer to 90. There are those rain chances remaining all the way through Saturday. Highs, look at that. Low to mid 90s all the way into next week. And again, the prospects of that cold front into Wednesday, it's possible, but not probable at this time.
Not bad for September. Thanks, Adam.
All right, Mayor Ron Nirenberg in our KSAT Q&A coming up.
It is Wednesday. We are always joined every Wednesday for KSAT Q&A by San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg, who is joining us once again this evening. It's our chance to talk to the mayor about several different issues facing the city right now. One big story over the last several days has been that video of the interaction between San Antonio police officers and Matthias Ometu, a black man who was out jogging, who was detained. Police said he matched the description of a suspect they were looking for. Turns out he was not that suspect. That video, Mayor, has now been released, 2 hours worth of footage. What's your reaction to what was on that video?
Yeah, it's in some ways difficult to watch, even though, you know, we've seen videos play out over and over again across national news. And the reason why it's difficult is it's here in San Antonio, and I think it illustrates just the difficult and complex situations that police in our community and members of our community, the black community, find themselves having to navigate every single day. You know, and it's seemingly impossible at times. That video, that situation illustrates all the complexities that we have to deal with in terms of policing and community relations in America right now. And there's going to be a lot of learning from it. There already has been. I'm glad that there was a resolution. The charges were dropped by the DA. I think that was the right thing to do. But you know, again, this is why it's such a difficult conversation and such a complex situation that we have to deal with, and the work that has to go into fixing it and addressing it across the country.
You were one of, if not the first elected official to call for the body cam footage to be released after the KSAT story. And have you talked to the police chief, and are you satisfied with what you've heard from him and what he has said about this whole thing?
I've talked to the police chief, and I think that you know, everyone involved is going to learn something from it. And you know, again, if you watch that tape, you see how difficult the job of a police officer is, responding to a domestic violence call which is probably the most volatile call a police officer can make, and just the challenge that they're having to navigate to bring that situation under control. That's the first thing. And it's almost impossible from that point of view. The other point of view is an innocent black man jogging in his city, being stopped, and of course, frustrated by the fact that, he's just out exercising and is stopped by the police. And it's almost as if you're watching the scene from one of these other videos in another city take place. This is the kind of complex situation and the unpacking of these issues that we have to do together as a community, and why there's no easy answers. We've got to work on this together. It's about building police community trust. But I will say this, San Antonio Police Department has a strong track record. If you look at police departments across the country, we have one of the best, if not the best. Is there work to do? Absolutely there is. There is in policing in America, and we're no different. But there is a concerted and honest effort being done in this community, in this city, to get these issues addressed.
We've got more to come with the mayor right after the break. Stay with us.
Mayor Ron Nirenberg joined us on our KSAT Q&A live from his office. And Mayor, I want to talk about the city's now recovery and resiliency efforts that are out there. There's been a lot of studies about the tourism industry, especially in San Antonio, and that it could take 5 to 8 years to recover. Does that point out the importance of a program like this?
It absolutely does, and we know that. There's been over 160,000 claims for unemployment since the pandemic began. Our unemployment rate right now, in a best case scenario, is roughly triple what it was prior to the pandemic. A lot of those jobs, we know from the labor industry or the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that those jobs are going to come back slowly, and some of them are not going to come back at all. So we have a challenge in our hand. We have a challenge across the country, but certainly here in San Antonio, of making sure that people in this community have an opportunity to get into a job, one that is available, but also is steady and stable and is able to make ends meet for their families. So the workforce recovery strategy that we have right now that's underway matches folks up with a training program that can last anywhere from 9 weeks to 9 months. And during that period of time where they're getting trained for a job that is available, they will have a stipend to be able to make ends meet, put food on the table, pay the rent, etc. This is our strategy in the near term. With the CARES Act dollars that are being deployed right now, we'll be able to enroll roughly 10,000 people. And then on the ballot in November is the ability to extend that for the long duration, because the economic recovery is going to last several years. Extend that program an additional 4 years so we can bring 50,000 people, families affected, back into the workforce, into stable, steady careers.
For weeks now, we have been talking about the importance of 2 upcoming events when it comes to COVID-19 here in Bexar County. Back to school, in-person learning, and Labor Day. We are now just days away from both of those events. We've seen some improvement in the numbers lately, but before we get to those crucial dates, what's your message to San Antonians about what we need to continue doing?
Number one, wearing a mask and physical distancing, staying away from large crowds, are lifestyle choices at this point. Before there's a vaccine available, these are minor inconveniences that we have to get used to in order to keep a virus under control. We are in a point right now where if we continue these efforts that are minor inconveniences, we can begin to open things up and enjoy a little bit of life again. But it's dependent on us practicing what these public health professionals have been telling us from the very start. If we do that, as our track record and our infection rate has showed us, we can get this, we can keep it under control. There is still a level of virus out there in the community. We had 250 cases today. We have deaths that are occurring every single day. So it's still out there. Let's protect ourselves. We know that it works with these minor adjustments to our lifestyle.
Mayor Ron Nirenberg, appreciate your time. We'll see you back here on the Night Beat.
Sounds good. Thanks, y'all.
We'll be right back. There will not be a New York State Fair this year, but that isn't stopping the American Dairy Association from showing off this year's butter sculpture. It was unveiled at the State Fairgrounds this week. The sculpture reflects its 2020 theme, Nourishing Our Future, with two different themes.
Like a big sculpture of butter. On one side, a dairy farmer giving milk to a child learning from home with his mother and a virtual teacher. On the other side, a child learns in school while a school nutrition worker delivers lunch. It took 800 pounds of butter to make this. The artist says it's a tribute to those who are making sure kids are nourished and learning at school or at home.
Don't often think about butter sculptures, but when I do, I think about you at the Iowa State Fair.
With the cow.
With the cow.
Right.
Yeah. Well, two butter sculptures in one. I hope that guy wasn't spread too thin.
Oh, boy. Here we go. All right. So we have a few showers out there, folks. Let's talk about that. Yep. We've got some areas of rain,
right
not
through.
a whole lot, but a few little pop-up showers, especially Kendall County and moving toward Bernie. It looks like you could just get clipped here momentarily. Karnes County has another round moving through. It's nice to see down there. So a few hit-or-miss showers and thunderstorms all the way through Saturday, but not as hot. Low to mid-90s.
Another show, another pun.